Welcome back once again into a new refreshing session. And in this session, we are about to start the chapter number 4 of geography, that is called as natural vegetation. And this part, we will be discussing about the importance of the natural vegetation, the present scenario of vegetation in India, the types of natural vegetations found across India and its characteristics and demerits. These all things we will be discussing in detail with the videos in a very proper way. This lesson can be focused for 10 marks for the ICSE board exam. In this lesson, you can try to focus on some of the characteristics of the forest, name the forest products, the characteristics, and like that we can try to differentiate between the natural vegetations and the characteristics, and these all things we are going to discuss in detail. Now we'll have the introduction and the beginning of the chapter in this session. Let's with a small introduction. We know that natural vegetation in the sense the forest, and this is the compact composition of climate, soil and biotic factor. This means any country's natural vegetation is mostly dependent on the climatic conditions prevail over there, along with the soil and the biotic factors, that is the biological factors present in that particular areas. That's the reason all over the country and the world we may see different varieties of forest. In earlier periods, the large parts of India were covered with the forest. However, being a populous and agriculture country, most of the land has been cleared for habitation and crop raising. The present scenario from the Indian point of view is totally different. Earlier before, we had a good percentage of forest in India. But today, as the country is most populous, and in order to feed the population, we are focusing on the agricultural activities, and because of that, the majority of the land in India is cleared for crop raising and for habitation, that is for living. There are some areas in India just like Ganga Plains, the parts of Gujarat, Punjab, Rajasthan, and the parts of southern India. These parts were fully covered with the forest long back, but now they have turned into the deserts, and we know some of the reasons behind that. So we need to focus on that, the natural vegetation, what is its importance and what we have to try to do in order to maintain the proper balance of natural vegetation in the country. That was a present scenario of natural vegetation in India. Now, what is the need that we should try to sustain the forest in the country? What is the importance of that? And broadly, we all are familiar about that. Let's try to focus on some of the importance of the forest for the human. Importances of forest. Forests have an intricate interrelationship with the environment. Intricate in the sense very complex. This means there is a lots of connection between the environment and the forest, and they play very significant role in the protecting environment. Means if there are good number of forest, the environment will be good. If there are no proper percentage of forest available in the country, then the environment also suffers a lot. Forest provides us minerals and many important things, and that we can derive direct or indirect from it. And here are few things that are derived from the forest for the mankind. Let's try to ponder upon. Forest mainly supply the timber, in the sense wood, especially for building purpose, for furniture making, for the shipbuilding, and most probably for India, as it is agriculture country, it provides the firewood for the domestic and industrial purpose. You might check it out that most of the villages and the village houses are using wood as a cooking material. And even in industries also we can widely see that. Some of the softwoods like the bamboos and the grasses, they are generally used to make the wood pulp, and that is utilized in making the paper and the rayon industries. Forest also provides the grazing grounds for cattle, and generally they are the home of the many wildlife and birds. Some other usage that comes directly from the forest are just like bark for tanning, in the sense coloring, then gum, dyes used in the colors, drugs, that's the medicines, fruits and the roots. And from that we can try to extract the good amount of materials that can be used in day-to-day life. Forest also helps to leave or increase the fertility of the soil, because it helps to increase the humus content by having the biodegradation process. Forests mainly check the floods. Wherever there is a possibility, there they try to check the floods by retaining large amount of rainwater in the subsoil. Forest helps the water to absorb into the subsoil, and due to that we can avoid the floods. They mostly helpful in bringing the rainfall. They add more and more moisture through the transpiration, and because of that we can have the plenty of rainfall in the areas where there are good amount of forest, and like that they have the great influence on the climate of that particular region. In short, if there are large number of forest, definitely you will see the good number of or good amount of rainfall in that area. One example I would like to mention here, that is the equatorial forest. As equatorial forests are fully covered and occupied by the forested areas, that area receives almost everyday rain, that is called as 4 o'clock shower. They also serve as efficient check against the soil erosion, especially onto the hill slopes. If there are no forest, definitely the soil erosion takes place very rapidly. But if on the hill slopes we have the good number of forest, the roots hold the soil tightly, so we can try to reduce the soil. That is also very precious material for us. The roots and the thick undergrowth and the grasses help into the conservation of soil. And mainly the last ones, the forests are the source of employment to a large number of people and increases the natural beauty of the landscape. Now people can also get a good number of job if they are having the forest in that areas. Means they can collect the bamboos, they can collect the bark of the trees for making some kind of a material, they can try to collect the leaves, they can collect some amount of wood for the furniture. Lumbering activity also can be engaged by the human beings into the forest. So many things we can extract and derive from the forest directly and indirectly. And the best thing is what? It adds the beauty to the landscape. If you happen to go to the areas which are fully covered by the forest, the atmosphere is very beautiful and the area looks very nice, and that becomes a very famous tourist spot. Now if you take a look at to this all importance of that, we can understand that how much importance the forest and how we should have to deal with them. Now before beginning to the next, that is a type of soil, generally we can understand that why the forests are important to all of us. You can try to find out some other usages of the forest that are direct and indirectly available to us, and then we can understand that how much important the forests are for us. Now after getting idea about the importance of forest, we shall be discussing about what type of forest do we have in India. Let's try to take a look at, we'll have the small introduction now. Now let's take a look at the types of forest. In India, we can find out the varieties of the forest. But this variety of the forest mainly depended on the variety of soil present in that area, the climatic conditions and the relief features. So accordingly, we can see some variations into the forest found across India. But almost we have the tropical type of natural vegetation in India, that is in general. It also have some difference into the forest according to the distribution of rainfall. Means in heaviest rainfall places we can have the dense evergreen forest, moderate rainfall we have deciduous, and where there is a least rainfall there we have the thorn shrubs. And at the same time, the relief, that is called as topography, or the mountainous or the plain areas, accordingly we can see some changes into the forest. For example, on the slopes of the Himalayas we have the different types of vegetations, and nearby the tides or the tidal areas we have the littoral type of forest. So these are what some of the types are divided based on to the soil, climate and relief, and that we have to study in detail. One thing should be noted down here, that is this chapter will have for 10 marks, and basically you should understand the type of forest plus where they are located, their characteristics, that we need to focus upon. So here we are about to begin the type 1 forest, and that is called as the tropical evergreen rain forest. Let's try to take a look at.